Okay, we're live. Hello, everyone. This is the artist panel for INVICTUSCON 2022. We're here to talk about art stuff, your art-related questions, and maybe get some art-related answers. My name is Bobby, or Ash. You probably all know me as a moderator on the server. My pronouns today are she and they. And I'm just going to be doing the moderation on here and passing off your questions that you're asking either on the Discord channel or in the YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch chats. We have today a great panel of artists. I'm very excited to introduce you to Carley, Maggie, Lukas, and Regan. I'm just going to put them on the screen right now and let them introduce themselves. Carley, why don't you go first?
Hi, I'm Carley. I am an animator and artist. I like to do a lot of just like creature designs, paint, and a bunch of anything, and like to just experiment with different art styles still.
Great. Okay, and moving on to Maggie, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Maggie. I'm a bookseller and artist. I do a lot of character art, comic book art, a little bit of graphic design. I am more familiar as a traditional artist, but I have been learning a lot of digital art in the last couple of years. And yeah, that's me.
That's great. And moving on to Lukas.
Hey guys, I'm Lukas, he, they pronouns. I am what I call a hobbyist artist and an avid doodler. I like doing work on the computer and making comics and writing short stories.
Great. And last but not least, Regan.
Hi, I'm Regan, she, her. I am mostly a painter, but I've been branching out and doing a lot of digital work and comics. I also make jewelry and pretty much any kind of art form I can get my hands on.
Great, that's great. Okay, so I'll just open up the panel with a quick question. What are you doing to ensure you continue to grow and develop as an artist? I feel like as someone who's, not an artist, I would think that you'd hit a point where you're just like, I am now it. Like, I have done it. I am art.
No.
So no, I see a lot of shaking heads. So what do you do? How do you keep developing? Does anyone want to take this?
I guess for myself, the biggest thing is just routine, which I've been slipping on again, but I'm hoping to get back to, where I just try to at least dedicate at least an hour each morning for art. Sometimes I'll just do my own pieces, if I have inspiration or I want to just draw D&D characters, but other times I'll do courses and just practice new skills and get familiarized with them.
Great. Anyone else?
I've been taking art classes outside of colleges or outside of schools. If you look around, especially in your hometown or wherever you live, there are definitely art institutes and possibly art classes offered by your city or your county that you can take, and they'll go over the basics, they'll go over things like color theories, depending on the type of class that you take. And I've been doing what I can to take those when I've got the time and the money available, just to make sure I'm not rusting up on my basics and things like that.
Okay, chipping some of the rust off of the old basics. Okay, anyone else?
For me, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead. No problem.
For me, I find a lot of inspiration in just doing new things or watching new shows or consuming media that I wouldn't otherwise, that may be something I wouldn't normally consume. Because I think that helps a lot with my creativity, where I get to see other artists and what they're doing. And doing things like going out into nature is also really helpful, because that allows me to find that mental space to create, because I think when you get trapped in sort of daily life, it's really hard to want to try new things. So yeah, I find doing new things and seeing new things is very helpful.
That's great.
Yeah, I kind of, I definitely agree with that, with like going out, and especially when you're kind of in an art block, which is an artist's worst nightmare, kind of like setting it aside and trying to like experience new things and just kind of bring other things into your repertoire of like what you do. So branching out with other media is definitely helpful for me as well.
Okay, like trying something new. Moving on, like from growth to or something kind of similar, but like what kind of challenges do you face? You know, what challenges, not just that growth, but like your own artistic skills?
Just about everything, I think, because
Everything.
even last night I was doing a piece and I was just like, this light is going to be the death of me, because it's just no matter like how often it's like, you know, you can keep doing better, but it's like also knowing you've come a long way, but there's still challenges up ahead.
So I guess you could say it's hard to catch lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, one of the biggest challenges is my own like self-critique, because you know, of course, artists follow artists, and so you see all these people where you're like, these are world-class artists. Why am I not? Why can't I be that? Of course, that's not how things work, and you know, like yeah, it's just getting out of your own head of that self-critique thing. It's very difficult.
Do you have a technique for that, for dealing with that kind of?
Keep doing stuff, keep making stuff, no matter what, even if you hate it. I think like that's it. You just can't let that self critique get to you. I don't know. I don't have an easy answer. Keep making art and keep writing, you know, whatever it is, whatever thing you do, you know, if you make music, whatever, you just need to keep doing it.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else have thoughts on this topic?
I think bouncing off of the whole, you're your own worst critic, because that does also stop me from wanting to keep building things and keep making things. Something that I've tried to do myself to combat that critic is, no matter how much I may dislike a piece that I do, I find at least one thing about it that I can feel positive about, even if I'm just like, well, the concept was good, even though I didn't execute it well. I liked the basis of the idea. And I feel if you can at least find that one thing, that one positive thing about your work, the keep creating and keep going stays fun. And once, to me at least, once things stop being fun and start becoming a chore, that's when I start getting hit with art blocks. And that's when I start not wanting to get up in the morning to draw. So it's just praise yourself and keep it fun. Praise where praise is due, and things like that.
Okay. Praise yourself. Yeah. Have you ever done anything like getting a collective of people together to, you know, make sure each other are getting like a kind of like a self-care or anything like that?
I have an art channel actually on Discord with me and some friends, and it's just sharing the art that we create, hyping each other up when we need it, as well as doing figure drawing and timed drawings, and just drawing parties where we all just kind of get on a call and just collectively doodle, just things like that.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Do you guys have any advice for any struggling artists out there, like someone who maybe they're just honing their craft or jumping into it, and you know they see all the things you've been talking about, the like looking at other artists and seeing how good their work is, and you know like they're really kind of struggling there. Besides the, I guess, the keep writing, keep arting, keep drawing, keep making art. There it is. What kind of advice would you give someone like that?
I would say like just like use the basics, because I've been doing art for years now, and I will still hit strides of, it's like I will hit plateaus in my skill, and then I just go back to the basics, and it's just nice to brush up on them because it's just good practice, and you feel better for it. And then when situations like say even rust, I bounce back way faster than I used to, because it's just, you practice the basics. And as you get those basics down, you can start pushing yourself into new challenges.
That's great.
For me, I always recommend to try things that you probably wouldn't have thought to try. Maybe doing like a different form of art, or just, trying something that you've never done before. I think can really help when you're like reminding yourself that you are in a learning process, and that you need to think about art and creativity as a tool and as a learning, as a path to learning. So when you're like in that stage of like feeling stuck, I think even just being like, I'm going to learn how to make bead stuff, or whatever, whatever you want to try, make some origami, like try something that you haven't done before, because it will help kind of, inspire you, fire those little neurons that you need to kind of get your creativity going.
Okay.
I would say my biggest piece of advice, and it's something that I struggled with for a long time, is just have as much fun as you possibly can doing art, because if you're not having fun with it, you can really tell in the final piece. And like I said, I'm predominantly a painter, so when I was in college and studying art, I just noticed that my pieces were they felt like stale in my mind, because the assignments I was getting and the work I was doing at the time wasn't really reflective of what I wanted to do. So once I left and once I started just doing what I wanted to do and actually having fun with it, I don't have that feeling anymore when I look at my art, like the kind of self-critique. Or I mean, there's self-critique, but I don't look at a piece that I did and feel that kind of horrible, I hate this, because I have fun with almost everything I do. So that's all I get whenever I look at my art now. I'm just like, I had so much fun making this, so like, whatever.
It's kind of like you're doing it for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. We have a question that came in from the Discord here from Asan. Are there moments where you just wish your piece was finished without having to put all of that time into it?
You know.
I feel like that was kind
Maybe.
of tell and groan.
Yeah, and I guess parenthetically, what was a piece that you were working on that you maybe struggled with and you just wish it was done? And maybe even after it was done, you saw all that hard work that you put into it.
For me, just a couple weeks ago, I finished a comic that I'd been working on. It was 32 pages long, and I'd been working on it for about 7 to 8 months.
Yeah.
So when I finally finished that last page and finally threw it across my beta readers, and they caught all my typos, and I finished it, it was up, it was done. It was about 5 seconds of, look at this. This is great. This is awesome. I did this. Now let's get to the next project.
Okay. Does anyone else have any thoughts on that?
I think for me, it was like, I remember one time, like I did a piece and it's just, I knew I was painting myself in circles, because I'm like, I know this theory. I even have like backup approaches where I'm like, the brain just gets too busy. So I'm like, okay, I just got to go back to more basics. But I was like, this should not be taking me so long. And I think it was after I finished that piece, I finally was like, okay, when I start doing more advanced stuff, I'm going to need to just do it first thing in the morning when I'm just too tired to be critical, because then I won't be constantly like erasing, and it's just I keep going forward with the piece.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I feel like sometimes when I start a painting, I do the sketch of it, and I just look at the sketch that I did, and I'm like, oh my God, this is going. I just look at it, and I'm excited to do it, but I look at the sketch and just think of all the like weeks of work that's gonna have to go into it. So it's daunting, but it's also exciting. But yeah, I feel like the amount of time that goes into a piece really affects how you feel about it at the end of it.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. When you finish a piece, do you take some time after you finish it, or do you immediately jump into that next piece?
I usually take some
I
time
usually
because
go
my
in.
hands sore after.
Sorry, Carly, why don't you go ahead?
Yep, sorry.
No worries.
Usually I take some time after because it's just, one, need to plan my next piece, and two, like my hands sore after, so I'm like, I just need a break.
That's fair. I think someone else was trying to answer too.
Oh yeah, I was just saying that I usually go straight into another one because I found, for me at least, that if I take time between pieces, it gets a lot harder to actually like start something. So usually I finish, as I'm finishing a piece, I sketch out another one. So then as soon as I'm done with that, I just start another one, or else I'll lose the momentum.
That's really interesting. Trying to like keep that momentum.
Yeah.
Okay. This goes into a question we were talking about before the panel started, but I'd like to bring it out into, now that we're in the public panel part. This is about imposter syndrome, and when did you feel comfortable calling or labeling yourself as an artist? Lukas, looks like you have an answer.
It varies from time to time, day to day. Sometimes I feel confident in what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm an artist. And then other times I'll sit down with a sketch and just be like, what am I doing? So that's thankfully been lower as I've continued growing and continued writing, but it's definitely something that I have to purposefully remind myself, like, you're not making this up, your skill's not fake, it's there, you just have to keep working at it, and I feel more and more comfortable as I feel myself improving.
Okay.
I don't know if I had a really distinct time period in like a moment. I feel like for me, like art has always been like integral to me, like as like in myself and like my selfhood. Like I don't know how to separate myself from that identity, if that makes sense. Like I wouldn't necessarily call myself like straight up an artist, but I'm like, I don't know what else I would call myself. Because like I've always done art and in various forms, and yeah, I don't know how I would not identify that way for me.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I'm just constantly doing art, and if I don't, I kind of go crazy. So I've never really struggled with the kind of imposter syndrome of it, because ever since I started doing it, it's just been something that I have to do, and I feel like I suppose that just makes me an artist, because I have to do it or else I lose my mind.
I think for myself, it was in college when I was finally like in art school, because like I did like art fundamentals, which was entry level, but it took me 3 years of failed applications before I finally got accepted into animation. So when I was finally doing it, and I think it was maybe like 2 months into the program of just like intense life drawing, like drawing people in public, and just trying to maintain like learning all this different fields of art and design, it was like it just kind of clicked. And now if I'm not doing art for long periods of time, I get squirrely also. And so like I'm glad I have like an iPad now that I can just take it with me places to, if I feel I need to do art, I can do it.
Oh, that's great. When you've got problems in your art, something's not coming out the way that you want it to, is there someone specifically that you talk to, or a group of people?
It hasn't happened for a while because like a lot of my pieces are like explorative, but actually I think it was the last time I did like a 2D animation, and I was just unsure of the ending. like I showed it to my partner and I showed it to my friend, and I was like, what do you see? And it was more like, if they could see like what was being played out properly, then I was like, okay, good, did my job, it's clear. And when I used to like do more work in animation, then if I like stuck on a shot or something, then I could just, again, like talk with my partner through the shot. But I haven't done actual animation for a bit because I've just been doing more like technical stuff now at work.
Okay. Anyone else? Thoughts on this?
I've got that art group that I made in Discord where we all just kind of bounce off of each other. We critique each other when we ask for it. And I've got another group that's mainly for writing, but I'll also run panel layouts and pictures to them as well to make sure I'm kind of getting across what I need to get across. And the main thing that I get out of them is I know I can engage with them and get a good faith answer back. It won't be any like trolling or just critiquing just to be nasty about it. It's that good faith feedback that you're looking for.
Great.
I think I'm just an affirmation person because I'm like, I was thinking about this question. And I was like, well, I guess it's whoever I'm happen to be sitting nearby. So I don't know if that's useful, but which is usually my spouse, but and sometimes our partner. But yeah, I'm just like, hey, look at this thing. What do you think? It's not a very useful answer, but that is what tends to happen.
No, I mean, if you're surrounding yourself with positive people, then you're going to get positive feedback.
Yes.
Yeah, my roommate is a illustrator, so she kind of gets it. So if I'm ever working on something, I usually like to show her to see what she thinks about it, because even though it's like a different medium than what she does with my painting, she still usually has pretty good insight. So I usually ask for her opinion.
Great. Okay. We got a question from the Discord now. Colin's asking, do you think that it is harder to draw by hand or to draw digitally?
Hand.
Yeah.
For me.
Why do you say that?
Because I always wanted to learn digital art, but I did not have the kind of money for a tablet for a long time. But gosh, it's been so nice. Like editing is so easy. Oh my God. I love traditional art, but oh my God, I would redraw the same thing like so many times, like so many times. Because especially with like, comic art, you have to like get these like really precise line work and stuff. And I don't do abstract at all. So anytime something is like wrong to me, it just like throws me off. So anyway, for me, I love drawing by hand, but gosh, it's a lot harder.
Yeah, it's way harder. You don't have an undo button. And many a times, like, I fortunately like now have a glove now to prevent it, but the smudging from lead, because it got everywhere. So like even in college, if I was doing like a cleanup line art piece, I would just like cover my hand in tape so I wouldn't smudge.
Yeah, makes sense.
The smudge is real. The smudge is real.
I don't know. I kind of find that like they both have their different like aspects of what makes them harder, because I feel like my digital art and my traditional art is very different. And I feel like sometimes I tend to struggle more with digital art. I mean, I only started doing digital art in January. So I feel like I kind of am still getting used to it, but painting just comes so natural to me that I think I find traditional art a little bit easier for me anyway.
Great.
Welcome to the digital art crew, by the way.
Another question from the Discord, and I'm just bringing this one up. There's another question before, but I'm bringing this one up because it kind of goes with what we're talking about. Meggles asks, for those doing digital art, what is your application of choice?
That's a good one.
I'm cheap and I just do Procreate.
Same.
My go-to now is I got Procreate with when I got the only side effect is you need an iPad to use Procreate.
Yeah.
Before that, I was using like Photoshop a lot. Literally last night was like the first time I've really been using Photoshop in a while because it was just easier to stream it. Definitely Procreate.
Is Procreate a free tool? You said you were cheap to use it.
It's like $10.
It's a really inexpensive and very powerful program. Like it does so many things very similar to Photoshop, but in like a more streamlined way. It's not as powerful as some of the obviously the more expensive stuff out there, but like if you just want to like start digital art, it's $10. You cannot go wrong.
I use Clip Studio Paint. You can find it on sale for like 20-30% off. And generally it's around $50 to $60 ish. And I feel like it's a more comprehensive program than Photoshop is, and it's a lot cheaper. So I came from Photoshop to Clip Studio Paint. So that's my go-to.
Great. Any other cool applications that I need to download?
My feeling on Photoshop is that it's overrated, just like in general. Like there are cheaper, better, more streamlined alternatives out there. Like I don't know why Photoshop is like the thing everybody does. I don't care for it very much.
I remember a few years ago there was
no like offense if anybody does. I just like it's not for me.
I think my first time I did digital art was on GIMP.
Yeah. I remember it being like a Photoshop, but like a freeware version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I started on.
Nice. Colin from the Discord asks, is there any artist that currently inspires you or has inspired you in the, I think that's supposed to say past. That's probably me typing it in wrong. I'm sorry. So who inspires you? Or who are your influences?
Do you guys know who Bev Doolittle is?
No.
No.
She's a traditional artist. Bev Doolittle, anybody? You might know her by her art because you gotta Google her. She is a phenomenal nature artist. And she would do these like pieces that are extremely intricate, and they would have like faces and like spirits like hidden in the artwork. Like again, you probably recognize it if you saw it. But she is like, I will never ever have her level of like being able to do this like detail work all by hand, all painted. And she'd do these like nature shots with a lot of like especially like Native American influence, and like she'd like blend like horses into trees, and it's just phenomenal artist. I love her.
I posted an image on the Discord. It's just loading now.
Thank you.
No worries.
I
And
don't
for
know,
those
I
of you
feel
interested,
like-
I put the link on the bottom.
I feel like an artist that I've been really into lately. I just bought a couple of his books. Grayson Perry. He's a ceramic artist. He's British, but he does these amazing pots that are very narrative and very like autobiographical. And just the imagery and everything that he uses in his pots just absolutely blow my mind. And I really love looking through the books that I have his at his stuff when I'm trying to come up with a new sketch for a painting, because I just love the imagery that he uses.
I feel myself is fun everywhere because like if I scroll through Twitter, it's like because the algorithms now, it's like all I get is just random art, and I just save half of it because I'm like, this is cool. Like I kind of like the brushstrokes in this, or I like the line art in this, and I'll just like save them to my like iPad for like later use of reference. And I get like art magazines, and it just covers like many artists in there too, and I just love to see so many different styles everywhere.
I kind of do the same as you do, Carly, with comics. If I find something in the bookstore online that looks interesting, I'll pick it up and I'll take it home and read through it and try to figure out, well, okay, this is how they did the paneling and the lighting and how they moved from scene to scene, and I liked how they did that and I didn't like how they do that, and try to incorporate it into my own stuff. My main go-to reference for comics is Black Sad. That's published by Dark Horse. And I also really like reading Noelle Stevenson's Nimona and Lumberjanes. And reading her stuff was kind of like what got me being like, I could do this. I could definitely do this better and do this more on that sort of level.
Yeah, she's great stuff, especially Nimona. Yeah. Another question from the Discord. What is your favorite thing to draw? And some examples that Connor gave were flowers, people, and etc. And I guess the parenthetical of this could be, what things do you not like to draw?
What do you hate?
Yeah.
What is your enemy?
So hard to draw.
For me, I really like drawing people. Like, it was something I didn't used to like drawing, and I started doing portraits, and I really like gravitated towards it. I really like doing facial expressions, and like, I love like creating character within like a two-dimensional space is like really powerful and fun. So I love that you can like really, I don't know, create something with just like simple line work. So I find that really, really beautiful. And on the parenthetical, architecture is like my love-hate relationship. Like, I love it and it's beautiful and so many lines and I hate everything, but it's so beautiful. So whenever I want to just be pissed off and sort of like happy at the same time, I just go like draw a castle or something.
I like to do creature designs. Like, that's probably my favorite thing. And just like mythological and just make my own. So like one of my favorite things is just like fuse two animals together. But then my other thing I love to draw is just if I have like need to just practice or brush up. So like last night I was like, I'm drawing an owl. They're fun to draw, they're fluffy, they're adorable. I'm gonna draw an owl. And then I did a fusion with a lion.
As someone who knows you well, Carly, I'm shocked that you'd be drawing owls. For those of you on the Discord server, Carly loves owls.
I might have an affiliation.
I feel like I draw a lot of I mean, in my digital art I do a lot of like normal character drawing and things like that, but in my traditional art and my paintings, it's a little bit more abstract and kind of surreal. They're kind of they're people-ish, but I do take a lot of inspiration from like the human form and stuff like that. But they're kind of just creatures, weird stuff like that. But I'm kind of the same. I hate drawing architecture. I can't stand like doing straight lines and perspective. It makes my brain explode. It's not fun for me. So I try to stay away from it. But if I ever feel like practicing, then I'll usually start with that because that's something I'm not super great at.
Okay. Another question from the Discord. Does your visual art inspire another medium of creativity to you? So for example, Hassan is given, does something you draw inspire you to come up with a story for the drawing or something cross-medium like that?
Yeah, I would say for me, I do a lot of writing as well. And recently I've been writing the story, and I usually keep my writing and my art kind of separate because I've never really had means to make them kind of interconnect in any kind of way. But since I've been doing so many character drawings in Procreate and like digitally, I found myself like doodling the characters from the story that I was doing. And that's kind of inspired me to do like a kind of comic that like relates to that story, which has been pretty fun.
For me, I don't necessarily like get inspired to make a story necessarily, but I more have when I experience, I don't know if you know, but I draw a lot of malevolent art, so I tend to get inspired from like other medias. I love when you can really interact with a medium on that level where you feel so creatively like inspired that you need to like output that somehow. So that is my inspiration in regards to like making media from other media.
I've been doing so much podcast fan art. It's ridiculous.
By podcast fan art, you mean exclusively Malevolent and Dice Shame, right? Just Invictus Stream products only? Oh, that's great. Do you all have channels on the Discord server for the INVICTUSCON 2022 to show your art off?
Yep.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, you don't?
I don't know.
Dude.
You have to get one.
We'll connect after again. I'll make sure you have one. And
gotta
maybe
show up
we
for
can.
yourself.
I'm a little bit new to Discord. I'm not gonna lie. I still am not super sure how it all works
That's
yet.
okay. We're here to help.
I'd love to see some of your
Me neither.
your comic characters.
Yeah, it'd be good. And then maybe after this, you can post. Everyone can post their channels into the panel chat, and then that way everyone can link the face to the art, so to speak. Here's another question I have prepped here. How do you know when a work is finished? I've heard that if you keep going, you can spoil the final product. So is there a point where you know to say no, this is done,
Yes,
this
you
is
can.
art? Yeah. Do you want to speak to that? No?
When I start working on something myself, I try to have at least a solid idea of what I want it to look like finished in my head. Even if I very rarely reach that stage, I can get close to it. And once I feel like I've gotten as close as I can, I'll call it done and set it aside.
That makes sense.
Hmm.
Regan, it looks like you're
Okay.
thinking pretty hard there.
Yeah, I know. Because I've definitely ruined many a painting by just like going and going, and then I look at it, I'm like, oh, I should have stopped like maybe 2 hours ago. But I feel like I'm getting a little bit better at looking at it and knowing when to just stop. It's like, that's enough. I think it's good now. I think it's been quite a while since I just worked a piece to death, but it's definitely the worst feeling. It's like I should have stopped so long ago.
Yep.
Maggie, do you seem to agree?
I don't know if I have a good answer because it is that finding that balance of your inner self is telling you that it needs to have this change or this little tweak. I was doing that last night. I was like working on this piece and I'm like, I need to be done like half an hour ago. Like, why am I still doing this to myself? So I don't know. It's a constant struggle. But
Okay.
I have also gotten better at it. I think, having that, I agree that like with Lukas, that having that like that sort of like vision in your mind, and if you can kind of focus on that, try not to overdo it. It's hard.
Great. And Carly?
Similar boat where it's like I don't think any piece will ever feel like fully done, like ever. So it's just like from experience of just, okay, I could be here for like the next 8 hours and make it look barely any different, or just nope, call it. I'm happy with how it is. I like this about it, and let's just adjust make mild like contrast adjustments or color tweaks and call it a day, because otherwise I need sleep.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fair. Sleep is important.
I think I'd also like to add on, a piece is also done for me if I'm not having fun with it anymore. If it's not bringing me that kind of like Zen relaxation that I get into when I'm working on something, even if it's kind of difficult to draw or time consuming, if I'm more frustrated than relaxed with the piece, it's done, set aside.
And is that to
And
prevent
I do have one.
stress?
I do also
Oh,
have.
sorry. Go ahead, Maggie.
Sorry. I
No
do have
worries.
one other thing to branch off of that, but if you can like take a literal step back, like get your face out of your art for a second, and just like and try to view your art either if on a tablet or whatever as like a whole instead of because I do the thing, you know, you do the thing where you're like fiddling with pixels and it's like, okay,
Yep.
take like a step back and you know and see how you feel.
Yeah, makes sense. Got another question from the Discord coming in, and just a reminder to our listeners, you can ask questions just by commenting or by going onto the Discord. Connor asks, what do you do with your old art pieces?
Nothing good.
No, you don't hold on to them like precious babies and keep them forever?
No, I do. They live in like a box underneath my bed. It's so bad. I was just talking with my spouse. I'm like, I gotta put these online somewhere because I have a ton. I have literally thousands of pieces of art, and I'm like, I don't know, what am I doing with these? I'm gonna die, and some poor relative of mine is gonna have to like deal with that. Like, that's a lot. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
I have like a whole box full of paintings under my bed that I just, you know, I finished them and then I just put them in this box, and there's so many of them down there.
In the painting box?
It's like the
Yeah.
box of shame. So bad.
Is
I
it a
stuffed
box
mine in
of
my
shame?
bed.
Sorry, go ahead, Lucas.
I don't have mine under my bed. I put them in a box and put them in the shed, and they will be a problem for future me to sort out.
Okay. Carly, where do you keep your box that all artists keep?
Well, most are still at my parents' house from like all my moves. And then the other chunk I think are actually in my filing cabinet, and the rest are digital. I know in college, because I had to do life drawing, so I had so many drawings, like pads upon pads upon pads. So I remember at one point I turned like maybe like a semester's worth of drawings into a pinata with paper mache.
That sounds so cathartic.
It's definitely a good use for them. They're getting used. Here's a good question that's coming in from Discord. This is especially for me because one of my favorite books growing up was The Wheel of Time, which was famously finished by a different author. And Colin from the Discord is asking, if for whatever reason you had to finish another artist's piece, would you try to add your own flair to it or emulate the original style the best that you can?
I'm like already stressed out thinking about that. Oh my god.
I think I'm incapable of not adding my personal flair at this point. So I feel like even if I tried to recreate what the other artist was doing, I think it would just end up looking like what I usually do.
Fair. Anyone else?
Yeah, there's like a fine art restoration guy on YouTube that some of you may have seen.
Yeah.
But his shit always is so impressive because he's able to like somehow get his mind into like what the artist wanted and like do exactly how it's. Anyway, that blows my mind. I don't think I could do that at all.
Absolutely.
I have too much style inside me.
I think it depends on the type of art medium, because say it's like you have to take over animation stuff. I will sometimes try to respect what the animator had done before me. It depends on the animator. Other times I would just like gut the shot and do my own thing. Paintings, it would probably be like I would try to respect what it is, but I just know like where my skill levels are at. I'm like, it would be my own flair in it.
Okay. Good answers. So for those of you who are not full-time artists, how do you balance your studio time with your other commitments, such as, you know, part-time job, families, admin work, things like that? I guess even if you are a full-time artist, right? Like, how do you juggle all those other commitments?
I wake up very, very early in the morning.
Yeah.
Is this why all the artists love coffee?
I can't drink coffee. I have an allergy.
Oh, I'm so
I can't have
sorry,
caffeine.
Maggie.
It's a It's very sad. Yep. No, I do the alternate and I stay up really freaking late, way too late. It's bad.
Yeah, I work full time for a interior designer, which is fun because I get to play and look at fun fabrics all day. So it's kind of a little bit inspirational, but I think it's mostly that I don't sleep. And I just stay up all night and do my painting.
Okay, so far we've got 3 for skipping sleep.
Yeah.
I still get sleep, but basically if I'm working full time, I will try to get up early in the morning to do a bit of art each day. If I'm between contracts, then I will stay up at between, like, because my favorite art hours is like between midnight and 3 a.m. But when you're working full time, you just can't do that. So the compromise is, 5:30 instead. Yeah.
A bit of a more serious answer from me. To balance it, I think a lot of it is examining your own schedule and what time you feel the most creative. And sometimes you'll be able to block out like 2 hours in the morning or 2 hours at night to get some art done. Other times I've had a friend who, whenever she's full-time employee, full-time parent, and she writes. And whenever she has a minute to herself, she'll take out her notebook or take out her computer, write a couple lines, and then once that minute's gone, she's back to doing what she's doing. So whenever she has a free moment, she carves that out for her own creativity. So it's just examining what your day is like, what your priorities are like, and then figuring out how you want to slip in your art and when is the best time for you to slip that in.
Okay. Question from the Discord. Would you rather draw something based off a reference or draw something from just a description or your own imagination? That's from Connor on the Discord.
Reference. Hands.
Always use reference.
Reference.
Yeah.
You'll have ideas of like what you want to do, but you still go through the internet, finding poses, costume ideas, colors, like just inspiration to reference that creation that you want to create.
Okay.
I hardly ever use reference. For traditional drawing, I hardly ever use references. I kind of just go with my brain and hope for the best. Which I feel like is an unpopular opinion, but I do that.
Okay. Well, I mean, takes all types, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
In an increasingly difficult world, especially with companies who you can or can't trust at any given moment, how do you decide which galleries, which curators, which art employers, if you will, to work with or to display your art with?
I tend to be more community oriented, so I like to do stuff within my own city. I don't know if that's helpful, but I live in a relatively small city, so kind of like everybody more or less knows everybody, especially in the small business community. So I do have a lot of like contacts and references that I can like reach out to, and it's the sort of small business community where like if someone is a shit employer, like everybody knows. So yeah, I don't know if that's helpful, but that's how I do it.
Okay. Lukas, it looked like you were going to say something there. No? Okay. Any other thoughts on that?
I haven't done like galleries really. Like I think I've only ever had one piece in a gallery, and that was like high school. So I don't want to really count those art pieces because those would even be beyond like the box of shame. But like I know for like work, I've always, well, like I'm still kind of like new at, like I've been in the industry for a few years now, but especially like being in a new city, it's like I had to reestablish myself because it's very much an industry of who you know. So it was more, I'll go wherever I can. But now that I've been established a bit more, I'm like, okay, where can I go that think like they won't overwork you, okay hours, okay pay, like, and actually try to like have a job that's like paying the bills.
Yeah, no, that's great. Are there any questions that you wish that I had asked that you just want to throw out now and challenge your other artists to a question?
Huh.
No? Okay. Well, I thought I'd ask just in case.
I got one. If there's
Yeah,
a
go for
piece of advice that you could give your past self who's just getting started with all this, what would you tell?
Don't worry so much. Just, like I said, just have fun with it. I used to be so stressed about how everything would come out. I would sit there and like meticulously plan, and then when I finally did the drawing or whatever, it would not be exactly how I wanted it to, and I would get so stressed out about it. But at some point, I just kind of, I actually did this thing where I only did drawings and sketches with pen, so I wasn't able to erase, and I did that for like a year and a half, and that really helped me not be so like particular about everything that I did. So just kind of be loose, just be loose and have fun with it, I would say.
Great.
I think I
Any
would have told
other
myself
advice
to
for
go to.
younger selves?
I would have told
Sorry.
my younger self to go to art school because it didn't, and I should have, and it didn't, and I'm regretting it. So, yep, I know it's a big risk, and like it's a big risk, but I think I wish I would have done that.
I think I would have told past me like just some of the tools that would have saved me so much time over the years that I've learned now, and I'm like, this could have saved me so many hours when I was in college.
That's fair. Okay, I think we have time for one last question here, and it is from Connor on the Discord. Have you ever experimented with different mediums of art, and which would be your favorite? Some examples given: watercolors, acrylics, pastels.
Acrylic paint is my love. That's what
Yeah.
I use most of the time.
What do you
I've
love about it?
experimented with a lot of different stuff, but acrylic paint is definitely the one thing that I found that I really enjoy the most, because it's very versatile, and you can like cover things up. It dries really quickly, so if you make a mistake, you can cover it up pretty easily. And I know that's something that a lot of people don't like about it, that it dries so quickly. But I find it really fun and kind of forgiving.
While I do like digital art a lot, I'm a real big fan of doing my concept sketches and character design sketches using charcoal. Just based on the figure drawing class I took a couple years ago, which was my first drawing class I ever took. I feel like using charcoal is like kind of like a really freeing medium where I can make a mistake and it doesn't matter. I can just sketch out really, really quickly, because that was the first time I was really introduced to that time to figure drawing sketches where you have 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes to sketch this person. And it really helped me loosen up in getting that image on the page. And when I'm trying to compare a bunch of different designs, going back to charcoal and just slapping it out one after the other and trying to find one that sticks has been really, really useful for me, especially when creating character design.
Great.
I've done all sorts of stuff over the years. My mom is a really, really crafty person, so I grew up with a lot of different types of like working with paper, watercolor, charcoal, pencil. I just grew up around art, so I did all the things. I did pottery, which I hated, but I'm glad I tried it. Yeah, I don't know. I've tried all sorts of stuff, and I think my favorite is probably just pen work. I really like the simplicity and like the minimalism of like graphic novels and comics, because I don't know, it's very beautiful, very centering for me.
I think for myself it would be watercolor and sculpted. The watercolor I've only just like picked up like a couple years ago now, and I just found it's super relaxing just going out with the easel and just painting what you see. It is just, I don't know why, but it's just like the most like it turning your brain off. You just and enjoy it. And sculpting, it's fun to just try to make something in 3D space. That's like from rough sketches is always just very, very different from like just straight paper drawing.
Okay, great. Great answers, everyone. And thank you for joining me. I'm just going to give you all some time now to plug anything you'd like to plug and tell people where they can find you. Regan, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I mostly am active on Instagram at that same handle plus Pluvia. I'd say that's the only really social media that I use that I put my art on, other than certain Discord channels. But yeah.
Great. And Lukas?
I have my own website, thechirpingcricket.com. It's where I upload my comics, any writing that I do, and I've got a gallery which just has a mishmash of photography and painting and charcoal drawings as well.
Great. And Maggie?
You can find me on Instagram at Maggie Draws a Dragon. And I put most of my work on the Discord at this point. So I think it's all there. And then I'm also on AO3 for any of you who want to read fan fiction. I write it at Artistic Witch.
Great. And Carley?
Primarily I still use Facebook, and I do have Instagram and Twitter when I remember to upload to those ones. But across all of them, it's Anna Empire. Also, half the time I'm just posting my art in Discord now too.
A lot of Discord. Okay. Yeah. Thanks everyone for joining us. This has been the INVICTUSCON 2022 Artist Panel. Stay tuned all weekend for more events and more panels, including a horror podcast panel coming up in a few hours. If you're interested, please check out the Discord. There's a link in the comments. And there's some games that still need some seats. So come join the Discord, join in the game, roll some dice, watch a panel, and have plenty of fun. I've been Bobby Gale, and you've been a great audience. Thank you. Bye.